Hello, this is James Hunter, and I'm making a video today for my fitness in my 50s playlist that I'm going to talk about basically what is a threshold for running in terms of do the benefits outweigh what it may cost you, the benefit versus the risk ratio. Running after the age of 50. I'm 53 years old and I do run, but I want to differentiate between different things in this video as far as what are the benefits versus the risk. And I do still incorporate running as part of my exercise program in addition to strength training. So in this video, I'm going to address this question. This is something that's been spoken about before. I actually have a video on my list from 2020 where I kind of talk about how excessive running can accelerate or affect the aging process. So in this video, I want to be specific about people in their 50s, older individuals. So the benefits of running, where's that threshold, right, of diminishing returns to where the benefit of running aerobic type training, which there's a lot of great benefits to it for sure, but where it's no longer worth it, you're having diminishing returns, it's deteriorating actually as far as the effects on your body, whether you talk about the cellular level, potential for oxidative type stress. You can talk about free radicals and things like that. There is you know, two different directions that might go. Maybe there's a benefit with regards to this antioxidant effect versus it's now going in the other direction to where, yeah, oxidative stress, free radical damage, depending on what literature you're reading and also the context of what's being studied. Excessive extreme running, like ultra marathon running, or people who are just doing an excess amount of running versus people who maybe are just in the middle ground, maybe more moderate level, 5Ks, sprints, things like that, a few times a week. So there is a balance here, and this is very important, particular to as you get older, because these days we have a lot of content about longevity and aging, and one of the big things that's brought up is skeletal muscle, right? Lean muscle mass, if you will. So this is huge. It's very important. The older you get, being able to preserve and maintain lean muscle mass to stay strong is one of the best things you can do to promote not just, longevity, but also to reduce your risk of mortality, death related to falls, accidents, breaking a hip, things that can be associated with the elderly or older population, if you will. Things like explosive power, horizontal power, vertical power, jumping up, broad jumping, etc. That's not just for athletes. That's just for your everyday person who learns to incorporate some type of maybe plyometric training, box jumps, being able to land and stabilize yourself, all this other types of feedback that your muscles get from things that are transferable to everyday life. Stepping down from stairs, right? That eccentric phase where you're stretching out the length of the hamstring muscle and then your foot touching the step, if you will, and then the ankles. And there's so much going on here, right? In terms of just the feedback from muscles, through our nerves, afferent nerves, that feedback that essentially helps us get the condition, the coordination, the balance. If we're not doing certain things, we lose that feedback, the neurological adaptations, which is our coordination, also in association with the strength and condition and the muscle adaptations. So muscle, skeletal muscle, if you will, it is considered an organ. So it's thought of as the organ of longevity. It's been said by numerous professionals in healthcare, medical industry, sports science, etc. So yes, it is an organ. Hey, what do you mean your muscle's an organ? Yeah, it's because you think of organs like your liver, lungs, heart, but the skeletal muscle is an organ, but it varies for sure considerably in terms of arrangement of fibers, even as far as various tissues, right? You have the heart's a muscle, right? Cardiac muscle, by the way, has adaptations. It does grow or get stronger, kind of like our other muscles when we train it. The athletic heart. So where am I going with this as far as running? So again, everything's it can be and not tricky, but it is the balance. It does take some thinking about it. So our metabolism, I think metabolism is definitely relevant to bring this up because if I'm going to run, I want to make sure I'm consuming enough carbohydrates, by the way, for my muscles to be loaded with enough glycogen, which is a carbohydrates being stored in the form of glycogen. Carbohydrates have a protein sparing effect in terms of how my body's going to fluctuate between, burning carbs, fats, and then to keep me going, to have energy, to keep me going with energy, if you will, when I'm working out and doing things. So I know a lot of runners, they do not eat enough carbohydrates. It definitely is going to cost you if you're running a marathon for sure. Other types of extended bouts of exercise that are excessive of running. So you can catabolize and break down muscle tissue. And that's becomes more relevant the older you get. So once you're over the age of 50, maintaining your muscle is very important. So does the benefit of how you're running or how you incorporate running, is it outweighing what it may cost you? Because yeah, you can get a benefit as being more sensitive to insulin, for example. People who maybe have diabetes type 2, aerobic exercise is good for you. It makes you more sensitive to insulin. Other benefits too, you can say you get from running and aerobic type exercise. But does that benefit in the bigger picture, is it worth it if therefore you're losing too much muscle, right? As a result of running excessively, the damage to your hips, your knees, right? Your joints. I know people who've gotten hip replacements in their 30s because they run too much, ultra marathons, and they're getting physical therapy and they're already thinking about trying to go back to running again. They're not even 40 years old. So the benefit from running, you can still get the same benefit without having to go to extremes for what it's going to cost you in an adverse way, right? So 5Ks, sure. Doing sprints, sure. Absolutely. I can do a 5K. I like to do sprints. And I may do some type of running, some type of something aerobic in nature that is running 3 times a week. 4 at the most, I'm good. That's solid for me. I don't need more than that. Realistically, a good 3 times a week. 4 is probably a bit more typical, and it's quality. I might run a 5K, but I'm going to push myself. I'm going to run it for time. How fast can I improve my time every time I run it, right? How fast can I run a mile, by the way, right? That's something I challenge myself with. Jump roping, other things like that. Jumping jacks, do some Tabatas, high intensity interval training. So these other ways to get your heart rate up, breathe hard, excess post-oxygen consumption, as it's described as, disturbing my metabolism, achieving the adaptations to my heart, right? And all the positive benefits without having to damage my hips, knees, ankles, lose muscle, and so on. I don't have to go that extreme and cost myself damage to my joints, compromise my lean muscle tissue, muscle mass. It's not necessary. I can get all the benefits from this aerobic way of training and running without being extreme. So it is the balance. It is a balance. I am a big believer in doing strength training, lifting weights. Plus, yeah, you can do some aerobics too. Do some, if you want to say cardio, right? Go run, and nothing wrong with that, because that's exactly what I do. I incorporate both because I see the value in them. I just don't believe if your goal is longevity, to not accelerate the aging process. So another way to look at the benefit risk ratio, the benefit you get for what it costs you. One way to look at it is, for example, I will see individuals that run a lot. They're the type of individuals that want to do multiple marathons a year. They're running as much as 10 miles a day, 8 to 10 miles a day, 5, 6 days a week. And these individuals, by the way, they look older than their chronological age. And you cannot just attribute all that to them running in the sun, because a lot of these individuals will cover themselves up, sunscreen, and so on. So it's not just, oh, it's because they're out running in the sun. It's not. It has to do with the wear and tear on their joints, what it's costing them in lean muscle, and so on. So these individuals, they do look older than their chronological age. But what you can also observe, particular to older people that run a lot in their older age, and they're entering all these extreme type of running contests, that it might be a marathon, ultra marathon, even a half marathon, what you will see is that while they have the adaptations to run and they may have the stamina to run those distances, the benefit of that really does not translate, nor is it transferable into their activities of daily living when they're in situations that requires them to be strong, to have balance, even agility, right? So these individuals within a context, sure, yeah, you can run over 20 miles and without stopping. Congratulations. You can run 20 miles or more without stopping. That may come in helpful someday if your car breaks down, you have no gas. And the nearest town is, 24 miles from you, and you need to get there soon as possible. So yeah, that could serve you well in that condition, perhaps. However, in conditions where you might fall, slip, or you're caught off guard and you need to recover quickly so you don't land on the ground and bust your head, break your hip, yeah, they don't have the ability for that. In fact, they might actually be less than average or diminish, still susceptible to falls, still susceptible to injuring their back, still susceptible to accidents and injuries, and still more prone, just like any other older person. So the benefit they get from all this running does not translate into necessarily longevity related to the mortality issues where you can, die due to things that are a result of the lack of strength, lack of muscle, lack of agility, lack of coordination, and so on. I think you get the idea. So my thoughts again in this video, it's the balance. As I age and get older, I want to be as strong as I can for as long as I can, for as long as I can. I may not be as strong as I was when I was 25 years old, but I don't need to be. I just need to be stronger than average, definitely stronger than the average person in the general population for sure. I'm going to stay as strong as I can. So therefore, the things I can do in the gym, whether it's with, squats, deadlifts, dumbbell rows, any other multi-joint type of exercise or compound movement, or something that requires me to use my body, within a pattern of movement that is more than one major joint, like I mentioned, squats or deadlift, for example, that's what's going to translate into my life with doing activities. Doing box jumps, plyometric box jumps, right? That's going to translate into my life, into real world situations to where I have the adaptations to meet the demands of anything in life that comes at me. Because as I've always said, being fit and strong and staying in shape is a superpower when you're in the regular world, whether you're shopping at Home Depot, Lowe's, going to the grocery store, building a fence on your property, doing projects, right? Going on a vacation, walking down a sidewalk. So everything becomes so much easier and safer for you. And in the event, let's say you do fall, you're less likely to be injured, or you can recover from it a lot simpler. Back in 2021, we had a freeze in Texas, and my driveway was completely frozen over. It's probably about maybe, I'd say, almost, not quite a half an inch of ice, maybe a quarter of inch of ice or more. And I underestimated it. And when I slipped, it literally happened so quickly, even with my reflexes, which are still considerable for any age. I ended up on my butt, right? But I didn't hit my head because I was still able to control the fall, if you will, and then absorb that impact, get up, and be very thankful that I didn't get hurt. Right? I was fortunate. Had I been in lesser shape, had lesser condition of physical fitness, that could have been my head busted on that ice, the pavement, if you will. Could have been seriously hurt. So even when you do fall or you do succumb to something, like anybody can in a context, your chances of coming out of it are better. So in my video I made in 2020, I touched on the issue of free radicals. So basically in chemistry, a radical, also known as a free radical, basically is an atom, a molecule that has at least one unpaired valence electron. So basically it's just lacking an electron. So what it's going to do, it's going to try to steal electrons from other atoms, and it's going to damage cells. So it's going to take that from this affects your healthy cells in your body, right? These free radicals, and you can talk about oxidation, oxidative stress. So this is something that's interesting, and I've looked at studies that actually exercise can help you tolerate, oxidative stress when you're healthy and shaped from the benefits of exercising. But there are studies I've looked at when it's extreme running, extreme extended bouts of exercise, that actually it goes the other direction, right? Maybe it causes more of an issue where there's increases cellular deterioration, and that's what accelerates the aging process once again. So I'll put the link to that video below. You can check that out. Again, it's about 4 years ago. So it's Sunday. It's been a long few days. So appreciate you listening to the video. Right, if you have any other thoughts about running, maybe you're somebody who runs extreme ultra marathons, or running's a big part of your life and you see a lot of value in it. To be clear, if you do, good for you. I mean, do what makes you happy. This video is just to get people to think. It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is similar to mine, you want to live as long as you can, maintain a balance of staying strong, having stamina, then you may want to consider the balance. You don't need to freaking run a gazillion miles a week. You don't. And some people you can talk about, they get addicted to running as far as they do it for how it's making them feel. That's a whole other conversation and so on, right? Why people run, the fulfillment of needs, that maybe it's not about the physical health all the time. Maybe for them, it's more mental health. So if you like this video, it gets you to think, maybe you've never thought of running like this. Where's a threshold to where it's a benefit versus you've breached a threshold of now it's diminishing returns and it may not be worth the benefit you think you're getting from it for what it's going to cost you. So maybe it has challenged you to think about it. So if you like the video, appreciate if you like it, subscribe. I do talk about different topics on my channel, mental health, physical health, wellness, and other topics in general. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Thank you and have a good day.